Hi, AT from CNC at Home. When I got my AtomStack P7, one of the first projects that I did was made this zeroing template. It's a very simple thing. I just put a little notch in here, and that's to get around this little neoprene foot. And this side extends a little bit farther, and that's to hook on the front of this leg. What that allows me to do is just put this in place, slide it in. Then I just told the laser, go to home, or go to 0, 0, and cut this way until it came through. Now this is my home, or my 0, 0 spot. I can take any other piece of material, put it in there, and I know that's in the home position. I want to do something similar for my LC-50 Plus. Let's go take a look at that one. With the LC-50 Plus, one of the differences is here in the legs. They can be different heights. And I use a waste board in there, a honeycomb waste board, and that's at a different height as well. It can be raised up and lowered down. Creating a zeroing template that hooks on a foot, something simple like that, just isn't going to work. If we look down here in the corner, this is where our zero spot is, down here somewhere. Now if I'm really careful, I can move this honeycomb grid so that this lower corner is at the 0 point, but it's not always going to be the same. It's easy to bump this and move it. I need something that will register off of the frame of the machine. One idea that I had was to have something here in the corner, and then maybe I could lay a piece across there. Let me give you an idea, or let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's kind of what I'm thinking. I want to take a piece of wood and stick it in the corner like this. And that'll give me a surface on each of these that's flat against the frame of the laser. Then take another piece of wood, and then I can push that up into the corner. And with this piece, if I have the laser cut out where its 0 is, that's something repeatable. By doing this type of design, this piece can be up higher or lower depending on where the frame is set and where the honeycomb board ends up getting set. So I've already created this, and we'll go through how this piece was created. I just went online and said I wanted a box, and then did some editing to it. Put a little note in here so I know what this is for. This piece, I just said I wanted something that was 60 by 120, and I had a piece of scrap that would fit. Then I now can just put this in here and tell the laser to essentially do the exact same cut. But since this is offset, it'll cut out the 0 spot for me. I hope that makes sense. So it'll just cut out here, it'll zoop, zoop. We'll see how that does. To build my template, I'm going to use the MakeCase website. If I remember, I will put the URL to that down in the description below. I'm going to do this in millimeters. The width of this is going to be 60. The depth is going to be 60, and the height is 100. This is going to work well. That's going to be an outside dimension for this. We are using 3mm craft plywood. It's going to be an open box. I literally only need 2 of these edges, so I'm going to have to edit the file, get rid of a couple of these. I do want to hold this together with finger joints. This size obviously isn't going to work. Let's do something a little more like that. Alright, that looks good. So I'll go ahead and download these plans and open them up in Lightburn. I'm going to open up the SVG file that I exported and do a little bit of editing. We only need 2 of the 4 sides of this box. The bottom we do keep, but we only need 2 of the sides. Let's pull that in. Here we have this. Let's put this on a different layer so we can see it a little bit better. There we go. What I'm going to do is get rid of the back and right. I'll just keep the front and left. It doesn't really matter. I need 2 of the sides. And then this bottom piece will be more like a square, but there will be finger joints on 2 of the sides. So the first thing we need to do is ungroup this, and then we should be able to get rid of all of that. As you notice, I do click and select from the right and move to the left. That way anything, any object that's partially in my selecting area gets selected. If I come the other way, only things that are completely in that box get selected. So that's why I come over to the left. And I'll just hit delete to get rid of those. Now on these two, I'm going to keep these fingers together, and then I just need this side to be straight and this side to be straight. And then on the bottom, I can leave the fingers, that would be less editing. I can also just square off this corner essentially. So let's go ahead and zoom in here and get some editing done. I'm going to do that with the node editor. So I will just come up here and click on that, select this, and I basically want this line to come all the way down. So what I'll do is I'll just hover over each of these and I'll start deleting them. Just deleting these nodes. And then I suppose I can delete this one, doesn't matter which one. Then I just hover over this one and I click E for extend, and that extends that straight up. So there's my nice smooth edge. I essentially need to do the same thing over here, but the fingers are sticking out past, so I'm going to need to extend these lines out to get that to work correctly. Okay, so let's select this. And then just start deleting some of these little chunks. Those two. And then these two just need to extend it out. So this one I can extend because it'll hit here. This I can now extend and it'll come down. And then I'm using E for extending, and then hover over this and trim that away. Gives me a nice corner. Now I need these two to come together. And the problem with these is if I try to extend it, there's nothing for it to run into. One quick solution is I could just put a little rectangle over here, and then I've got something to run into, so I can then extend this line, there we go, and then trim this line back with a T. And I'm just going to make sure that those are connected. If I switch this to fill, it is filled, and I can see that this one isn't. So one of these two sides, or one of these corners, didn't quite join up. There we go. So I just moved that around a little bit. Let's slide over to the bottom. On the bottom, I need the fingers here and along here, but I don't need them across the top and across the left hand or the right hand side. So I'll do a similar thing here where I will just start trimming some of this up, or deleting some of these elements. Alright, what I want to do is get rid of the stuff on top. That's what I want to do. Alright, so let me start with this one. Let me extend that, and then I can trim that corner back. Now here's where it'd be nice to be able to extend this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this point while holding the Shift key, and that lets me just move it up. Then I can come back over here, I can extend that over, and then trim that back. The same with this one. I can hold the Shift key, drag that point down, then I can extend and trim. Apparently I didn't get that. There we go. I don't need to cut out the names of these pieces, so I will just select that, do Shift select, and change all of these over to a tool layer, and then we'll have to worry about those. So I've got my fingers here. So this little finger joint will come up in here nicely. This finger joint comes down in here. This little finger joint comes in here. And this final finger joint over here comes over there. These two edges are smooth. this is what we want to have. Let me go ahead and put that in the, get everything selected first, and then just throw it down in the lower left hand corner, all ready to burn. The first step is to get the laser to home, so I will just tell it to do that. Now within light burn, I can tell it to just go ahead and cut the bottom and the left hand side of the same rectangle that I used to cut out that piece of wood to begin with. There, it came off that time. 27 cuts later. But if you look closely, I don't know how well this will focus in on that, but you can see how many different lines or burns there are here. There's 1, 2, 3 at least, plus the one it made 4. So I wasn't getting this lined up very well initially. Which makes me wonder how good of a template is this going to be. It'll get me close, and in theory it should be somewhat repeatable, unless I have something that needs super accurate precision, and in that case maybe I will just have to orient the laser manually like I typically do, and then use a current or local coordinate system. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the content of our channel, think about subscribing. It really helps us out. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects.
Oops.